Hey, welcome everybody to Battle Pirates Crib. Today we're going to talk about Pillage. We have a new target for the Zealot. We also received information regarding the upcoming raid as far as a semi-strategy guide, and I think we'll talk about the TLCs from last week to see what everybody thought about it. So let's say hello to everybody. Lady Cat,
Hello.
Magic Mike,
Hello, all.
and Derpy.
Hello.
Hello. All right, let's get to the bug fixes. That's interesting. Never seen it happen that way before. As of September 1st, they've gotten rid of the what you were allowed to put tier 8 conquerors into guard your bases.
Yeah,
Yep.
I've forgotten about that.
Things like onslaughts.
Yeah, was it tier 7 or tier 8? I forget. You couldn't put the tier 9 conquerors in there, but I can't remember because I've had defenders.
Well, Howler was tier 8, so you couldn't use Howler either. So I guess they were using old tier 7 stuff.
Okay, tier 7 stuff. So, I mean, I don't like the fact that, they've known about this stuff for a while. And like, oh, please note that effective today we're doing this. They could have said, okay, next week we're doing this, right?
Right.
I think that at the higher level, people started using the onslaught more in their guard. And that was a recent development that only really started maybe a week or two ago. It probably started before that, but I only really noticed it a week or two ago.
Okay.
So that's probably why they implemented this now, because they said, oh, the onslaught's here, which is screwing things up. So now we're just going to remove all of it. So people just have to play PvP like we want them to.
Yeah, and I'm fine with that part of it. I'm just not. I'm not happy with the fact
No notice.
No notice. Like, okay, it's already happened. So,
were most people in the game running defender only?
No, I think at this point, yeah, most people, but it's still just in general the fact that they've known about something for a while and then they just drop it on you right away. Guy in my sector quit playing, I assume, and he just started because he has no defender halls to use now. I'm actually not sure what you're saying there. So, and then as far as the bug fixes, some auras and region that deal damage over time are no longer affected by deflections.
I don't know what that means.
No. Right. Anybody want to? Yeah.
Oh, I was on mute. Yeah. So there are some auras and things like the old, say, like the Cold Snap or other turrets, especially those in the 96 or 97 Kixeye employee base, that would just hit you and they do like 100 damage per second over 20 seconds. And the negative, the Piranha shreds your deflection so much, which means now instead of having 0 radioactive deflection, you now have negative 300,000 radioactive deflection.
Okay, that's
so
cool.
Every single radioactive field was doing 300,000 damage per second to your hull when it went from doing 0 to 300,000 almost instantly.
Wow,
that's pretty cool.
Now that doesn't happen anymore. Yeah. So I the first 96 base I hit, 97 Kixeye employee base, I went through, killed the gatekeeper, killed the onslaught, and then sat there and all tabbed away. I come back and my fleet's entirely dead, and I wasn't in range of any heavy turrets. I wasn't in range of any ships. The deflections had just gotten so high. Maybe there was in range of a Piranha. That was it. And it just kept shooting at me, and it just melted me almost instantly.
Wow.
Yeah, it just seems like if they did something where, you couldn't have negative deflection, so even if you were doing 1 damage, it was 300,000, right?
Yeah, it might have only been 200,000, but you get the point.
Yeah, but it might have been easier to are no longer affected by it still doesn't make sense to me reading it, even though you gave a good explanation of what was happening.
Yeah,
The
a lot of their stuff doesn't make
words are still not working for me.
a lot of their stuff doesn't make sense when you read it.
Yeah. A major performance improvement rolls out this week in HTML5. They're also having a. It's currently ongoing. It's an AMA. What's an AMA, Mike?
It's a Ask Me Anything.
There we go. On top
American
of it.
Medical Association.
Yeah. And that was transitioned from Discord to the forums. We were told, I haven't seen it yet, but there is a a thread in the forums to ask Peter. He led the charge as far as the conversion from HTML to, from Flash to HTML5. And, in case you have any questions about HTML5, I did ask him a question prior to that, and I don't really know what. I guess I'll have to take a look at some point what people are going to ask questions about HTML5. I asked him questions about the minimum requirements associated with your computer. As we've seen with Mike as one example, is seeing much greater performance associated with improved processor and memory using HTML5. And then because I looked at the funny part was I looked at their requirements, their minimum requirements, and it doesn't appear that they've updated them in 5 years, because Windows 10 was not on the list of approved operating systems.
Well, there we go. That's why support can't help me, is because I'm using Windows 10. I have to go back to Windows 10.
If you go back to XP Vista, they're going to fix you up, Derpy.
Okay, great. I'll try that.
Okay, XP Vista is on the list. It seems to be a matter, at least with that, it seems to be a matter of the minimum requirements are okay, but they're seeing greater improvements with higher, like, I'm not even sure what the, greater computing power is showing more benefits with HTML5 than you would see with Flash. Flash had a lower ceiling, so to speak. With HTML5, they still want to keep the basic minimum requirements, but you will see greater improvement with additions to both graphics and CPU improvements. But they're not changing. Hopefully they'll go back and add Windows 10 as an approved operating system, but I don't know what kind of does anybody, Derpy, Magic Mike, Lady Cat, or anybody out there, what kind of questions would you ask about HTML5 implementation, since it's been out for a while?
Well, the reason I'm not using it is because of the health bar. They keep saying they fixed it, and then it keeps breaking again. So I want to know, is it fixed, and is it going to stay fixed?
Well, it seems to pop out with new targets. Derpy, you've hit a couple of the 141s from Pillage. Is it working there, even though that's an old target that's just gotten a new number?
Let me watch my replay I took of this thing. I don't remember off the top of my head. I didn't notice it either way, so
okay.
Repair times get messed up too on the.
It was working for me.
Okay, all right, but it's not a new target.
It might not next time I hit the thing. So.
Okay. All righty.
And yeah, the forum post where we're supposed to ask questions isn't up yet, even though it says it should be. So.
Okay. So for people that are watching later, maybe it'll be up at that point in time. So, all right. Well, if we're done with bug fixes, let's move on.
I didn't
It's
see
like a
that.
whole different. No, okay, back one. There we go. Right now we're in Pillage. Next week we have the raid strategy guide, which we're going to talk about a little bit later. And we have the raid next week. Hope everybody's ready. And yada 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 yada. So one more click. All right. We've seen it, which we'll talk about in more detail later. We've seen a transition from a Punisher Everest pillage to a Zealot Everest target. And the next week we have the raid, and then we have the VXP. We don't know what the VXP is for.
Well, it will just be the same target as last time.
But I'm just saying, what are you going to VXP?
I think my Piranha is still not fully ranked. So
Okay.
I'll have to get that one up, but that's about it.
Okay. And then hash build codes not work in HTML5. So I guess that is a one way to use it is to point out problems as opposed to asking questions. It's like, this isn't working and that's not working.
My question is, why when we point out the same problem to them every week for the last 2 months, is it still not fixed?
Ask Peter.
I was told this week also, please note that these were set when the game was first established. Okay. I guess that's speaking to, Franco is speaking to the increase in performance that players are seeing with higher end computers in HTML5 versus Flash. So I think that's so I may explain some things. Alrighty, let's move on. Alrighty, and I'm still wondering why it's scrolling different over. It's changing the slides different than before. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Sword of Legion TLC. It was an important TLC that ended on Wednesday at
today, 1 hour ago.
Wednesday at 6
I know
o'clock.
because I was waiting.
Because people watch the show at different times. So
okay.
I'm just saying what Wednesday at 6 Eastern time. And it was, I know, Derpy, I've seen that you said that you found it less difficult than Mutineer on the Bounty. While I've seen other players, like including Mike and others, that had X1 ships, found it more difficult. The interesting thing I found was when I finished it up on Monday, my last run, it seems like they lowered the damage. And did anybody else run across that?
Yeah.
I finished it just before the thing ended, and my fleet was near dead. Now, I don't know. And that was with a crew, and I did lose the first time I ran it. I killed the whole fleet off of because I'm going to use the word forgot to use a crew.
Mm-hmm.
But, it ate up the whole darn X1 fleet, and then the last time was with a crew, and I just survived. So I don't know. It was challenging to me. A lot of it was my skill, but it was quite a challenge.
I struggled too. I got a lot of damage. I ended up using a demo. It's the only way I could really get through it.
I wasn't going to do it after the first time. They actually said, screw it. And then I said, no, it's too important. So,
yeah, I tried a demo crew one time because I was trying to shorten my repair time. And afterwards, I was like, I'm not using a demo crew again. It did improve your resistances, the damage that you were taking, but it did not improve at least greatly improve the amount of damage that you were doing, which normally that occurs with the demo crew because it's a plus 30 or plus 25 damages of all type except for corrosive and shockwaves. Because if you take a look at the Punisher and the weapon setup, you're doing significantly more shockwave damage than you are doing normal damage, and shockwave damage is not increased unless it specifically says shockwave damage. So it doesn't help if you have extra building damage or even radioactive damage. Shockwave is its own category by itself. So that was, I wouldn't recommend unless you really needed the plus. Like, one's 30 and one's 25. I forget which one as far as damage protection versus damage done. But yeah,
I needed the extra protection because I would have to at least put an hour repair on one ship to get through it. So it helped me at least get through it and survive it. I struggled a lot. I'm not as good as you and Darby at driving, especially with the tank, especially the last target was the worst. They all got progressively worse. I struggled. I got it done, but I struggled and I hated it. And I had to use cruise just to get through it, and sometimes coin an hour or two. So,
yeah. I almost feel like I'm hitting a different target than you all are.
Well, well, the last time I did it, I was that's what I'm trying to figure out. I think there's something structural in the target that some people aren't, because you both have X1 Punishers, and I think you both have my build. So the issue comes down to some component of driving, and I don't think it's your just bad driving. I think there's some component that you're not, and you both tank. I'm trying to figure out what the component is, because I think the last time I did it for like 5.5 hours.
Yeah, every time I did it, it was between 5.5 and 6.5 hours.
Yeah.
What I did is I drove a tank, and the tank always stayed within that purple ring, because that purple ring is the one that gives you the it buffs the survival. So yeah. I just drove the tank, stay in the purple ring, and try and not get hit by radioactive.
Well, Derpy, I used your suggestion of using the free fleet.
Yeah.
And killed that one off completely within the first 5 encounters. And then I had like 8 hours plus damage on my good fleet. So I didn't think I was that bad, but evidently I'm that bad, because it just did not.
Were you tanking the thing?
Yeah. I was doing everything. I've driven that target before, and I don't remember. Like even that one that is it the second one or the third one? I used to do that with instant in a dock, and I was getting 40 minutes.
On several of them, I was getting on the back 4 maybe 22, 26 minutes damage. So I would spend a minute or two on the first 3 or 4 encounters repairing, and that probably lowered my repair time by about an hour total.
I just went through it because
the only one I could even repair on would be the first one. I still have to bring it back to the dock to do it.
Yep.
But I mean, it wasn't a huge repair, 5 minutes maybe, and that's only if I wanted to take the time to do it.
And the first 2 don't have the throwers in them, and they don't have the the first one, the mines don't do damage. Did either one do the mines do damage at the first 2?
I don't think so, from what I think I heard.
Yeah, I don't think they do.
So that leaves, as far as the only issue I could see is that you guys are leading too far ahead or too far behind.
On the second one, compared to Pillage, how did you do? Because that second one was the old Pillage target, right? Or was it the third one?
The first time I hit it, I did worse because I just wasn't driving that well. But then the next the final 3, 4, 5 times, I was able to get it for instant or near instant on the back 4 ships, and the damage from the first one would carry over.
Yeah,
So,
that's what I used to do.
Oh yeah, on the first 2, I was repairing the whole. I was just going back to the dock and repairing the first 2, just repairing the whole thing, including the flag.
I guess Mike and I just can't drive.
I don't know.
Well, except for that's we're not. I'm not trying to be critical. I'm trying to.
Oh, I know, but
Why you're not driving, and what I
and
think
why
what
are
I'm
most
saying
people,
is, what I think
Right.
you were too far behind. You were outside of the purple ring, or too close to your back ships with the purple ring. You weren't keeping the proper distance between your flag and the rest of your ships. Is what I can sort of tease out of what you're saying.
yeah,
Both
possibly.
of those scenarios are possible, but it's not like I didn't know to try and do it. You know, I knew to try and keep it in that purple, in that ring.
Yeah, me too.
But
Doesn't mean I did.
There were times I couldn't.
Yeah, there were times that my ships would stack and I couldn't unstack in
Yep.
time to get away from that radiation that was coming at me.
That too.
So I'm sure it was more driving than anything else, but I think overall it was an extremely challenging and difficult target for the average player.
I think they made it a little too hard for
I mean, I consider Mike and
I completely agree that it was. I think it was too difficult. It was tuned for X1, and I don't know that they should be tuning a target for X1 when there's this much technology that's sort of required, quote unquote. I'm doing air quotes here. Required for the next step.
That was the point.
it's not necessarily technology, because you can get away without using the Capulus cannon. It's the 8 days of build and 5 days of upgrade or whatever it is. That's the required
this
part.
was a make or break to get ready for the raid. You had
The
to.
reason I finished it was for those.
Yep. So, yeah, next time is going to be a while, because next time we're going to have the Gladius, and I'm assuming you're going to be able to run this over with the Gladius. But the only thing that you're going to want to get out of this are probably the upgrade tokens. Everything else is going to be, we don't need any more calculus. We don't need anything else. So you're going to do the whole 8 prize packs, or 8, encounter. Well, I don't know. It's
8 runs through.
8 runs through. So for the 8 times 7, 54 for the mastery. Then we had another 60 through. I don't know. It's somewhere between 70 and 80 targets to.
I hope I can forget the pain of this, or else I'm not even going to bother.
It wasn't fun. It was not fun at all. It was just like, got to do it. So just bite the bullet, go do it, get it over with, take the pain, and move forward. It was not fun whatsoever.
Yeah, and Kelvin is saying that Gladius will not do that campaign.
That's why I didn't do bounty, so I could do this campaign.
Yeah. I mean, it's not going to take advantage of the oil slicks, but we are doing more damage, so I don't know. So let's move on. I had 3 fully built U1 Gladius I tried on mastery stage, and it was horrible damage. So, okay.
There's more red in my dock than there's ever been right now. I've never had this much red in my dock.
Okay, well, let's move on, and this is part of the strategy guide for the upcoming raid. We'll go by step, the components. The small unstable fuel silo. I think that was the nickname for one of my ex-girlfriends. And the damage is high, the range is medium, blast blocked by mountains, yes. Easily damaged, there's a small one and there's a large one. Easily damaged by normal weapons and all damage types. Does not have a delay in blast. This is where you need to pay attention. The 2 fuel silos are quite different, even though They look quite the same. Does not have a delay in blast, and it does not show the blast radius before exploding. Does more damage to the enemy structures than player fleets. Blast can be avoided by outranging the blast zone. So the assumption that you hit it with the cannons that you have on your ship, and you can outrange it with that, as compared to the next one. Damage for the large damage fuel silo.
Yeah, is that another ex-girlfriend?
No. I was waiting for somebody to jump in whose ex-girlfriend that was. But damage very high, range very large, blocked by mountains, yes. Damage is blocked by mountains. Position yourself behind a mountain to take advantage of this. Can only be damaged by fuse lighter, aura, or blasts from other silos. Projects blast radius when damaged. And we're going to show a picture of that in a minute. Does more damage to enemy structures than player fleets. You can't outrange these, but use a combination of strategy and the Gladius's built-in fuse lighter. The blast can be avoided by moving out of the blast zone. And fuse lighter, the name of it basically means, I didn't have ships ready, but reading through this, it's an aura that only has a range of 25, and it basically lights a fuse to blow this thing up. So you can go into that. You can get your aura in the range of this fuel silo, and then get out before the fuse has lit up the silo.
Oh, I'm looking forward to those Derpy's videos now.
Yeah.
I'm not super sure about this description here, because when I hit it, I attacked it, and if you hit it with the fuse lighter, it did damage to it, and I guess we'll see the ring on the next slide. But I don't know how that is going to be blocked by mountains.
Well, maybe if there's mountains to hide behind, you know, maybe.
It doesn't give a projectile.
What?
It doesn't give a projectile in the source. It emits an aura that does damage.
I don't know. They keep on saying blocked by mountains, so we'll have to see how it plays out. But all I can do is what they say, because I didn't have, and I am disappointed that we are not receiving any sort of last-minute target preview.
I'm very disappointed by that as well.
Yeah, because it's with the extended, the much longer build time of the blank hulls, and pretty much the requirement that you had a range extender on there, I was not even close to having even one ship ready, for VXP. I was not ready for anything, and I have not really seen any good videos of people, demonstrating the different parts of this using the Gladius. Did you do one, Derpy, and I missed it? I didn't want to be insulting.
No, I didn't do any video of the target. I just had one ship that was partially built. And I did that because I held off on building the fourth shell. So I just had one ship that I could sort of kind of hit some things and figure out what the damage types were, and figure out as much information as in this strategy guide here.
Yeah. So let's go one more. All right. This is sort of the warning. This is the range of the large one. The small one does not show anything. And then I guess once I should have included that picture, but once you've lit the fuse, it's going to turn orange on the outside, which means that you've provided enough damage from the fuse aura in order to, that means get out of town.
Not quite. The brown ring is the warning one. So just before you hit the target, it's just the building, no ring. Then once you hit it with your fuse lighter, the brown ring turns on. That's the warning ring. You have to get out of there before the red one turns on, because that's the one that does damage to you.
Okay, so this occurs. Okay, step back. This this ring is not, again, because my ships were not even close to getting ready in this target. This ring shows up when your fuse lighter has done enough damage to eventually kill this building.
Whenever your fuse lighter hits this thing, it turns on. If you just have one ship and you hit this with one ship, the brown ring will turn on here, but the thing won't actually explode. Now, if you bring in 5 and shoot at it once or twice, then the brown ring will turn on and it will start decaying in health enough for it to reach 0 health and explode.
Okay, so the when it turns to be orange or red, because this doesn't even look brown to me, but
light tan.
yeah. I mean, we're not going to talk colors. That's another show. But okay. So the red ring, you're actually taking damage at that point.
When the red ring turns on, you take a whack of damage, and then that's it.
Okay. Alrighty. Does it give you an indication that the fuse is lit?
That's the brown ring.
Brown ring. Okay, so once you see this, the fuse is lit. But it doesn't guarantee that you're going to kill the building.
Correct.
Okay, so it just means
at least that's my understanding from 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Okay. Alrighty. When I did this, they went down to a little. Yeah, but I don't. Yeah, because once we get it to it.
Well, now if you have 5 ships to go and you're hitting it, you'll do
plenty of damage. Okay. All right. I hope that answered everybody's questions, and let's move on. Heavy ballista turret. Health high. The thing you should notice here, there is a health for the first 2 turrets, not for the rest of them. So I don't know what that means. Me and Derpy earlier were speculating on Discord that it was high, medium, and none, but probably not the case. Does very high damage. It's directional. Probably had what a 35, 45 arc range as far as
a firing arc that's wide by about 25, 30 degrees and has a range of like 200. So sort of like a Far Sight, but narrow and skinny.
Yeah. So no splash. We don't. It's blocked by mountains, but we do, and also you can figure out what the range is, or figure out if you're going to get fired at by just scrolling over it, or clicking on it, and you will see its firing arc. So it is avoidable, at least in the targets we've seen so far. We don't know, reading through any of this, if it's the impact of evade would have on this if you wandered into its sights.
In the VXP target, if you had a ship with fairly standard evade, like just Guidance Scrambler 3, most of the projectiles would still hit. But if you had one that had like 90% evade, then more like 2/3 would hit. So this thing probably has about 200 or 300 base accuracy.
Yeah.
So evade does work against this if you have really high evade, but you're going to be in for, it's going to hurt.
Yeah. Yeah. So with those kind of numbers, it doesn't really sound worth it. So especially because it's avoidable.
Yeah, by just not driving there.
Yeah. Not going into its range. Tag it from the back. So let's go to the next one. Overcharged Pyroclastic turret. This one could be outranged.
Only if you use if you don't use lower cannon mount 2.
Yeah.
Which is why I prefer an actual range number here.
Yeah. So if you have the 75 range, this is lower than 75 range. So it could be 68, but blocked by mountains, and health is medium, just so everybody knows. But unless you go with lower count amount or something, or you don't put on a range extender, this one can be it's more set up, just don't run it over type of situation if it was in your base. So, okay.
Ready? Next.
Yep. All right. Quick decay phlogiston launcher turret. All right. I don't know what the health is on this one.
Probably medium.
I'm going with none, but
Maybe
it's a
medium
launcher.
rare.
This is the only thing that can go over mountains, so that's important. The actual getting hit by it shows a medium damage, but the shockwave damage is high. And I'll read the note. The quick decay phlogiston launcher will build up stacks on your fleet. When they reach critical mass, a highly damaging shockwave will be triggered on every subsequent hit, which is a different mechanic. These stacks rapidly decay, so move to safety if they build up too high. This is not the normal launcher shockwave mechanic, and I'm not sure if it's being misexplained, or is misexplained the right word, but not explained correctly, or it's a new mechanic. This was not in the VXP target, correct?
This was in the VXP target.
Was it? Okay. Did you have any experience with it?
Yeah, if I took my ship that had about 60% evade in there, it never built up a shockwave. But one with more like 15% evade, a shockwave did build up. And it didn't do as much damage as the ballista, but still did fairly high damage. And I could visually see this thing missing, hitting the water, and doing no damage. So in the VXP targets, evade worked against this thing.
Yeah, because this is the only one where I could see, because it's, yeah. No, I agree.
But I don't know if this will mean evade is good enough to put on one ship, 5 ships, no ships. And they may have changed it too, which is one of my larger questions, especially because this thing doesn't give the information, and we don't have the targets back again for a sneak peek.
Yeah, because right now, the way I'm building, I'm only putting evade on one ship.
I'm probably going to end up doing that as well.
Yeah, because again, I did not have, with the long base build times of the ships and the requirement that you had a range extender, to not have 50 range. I didn't really see any way to really interact with these within the time allowed. So, okay, let's move on to the next one. The only one that has splash, well, unless you call it shockwave splash. And so we would assume long range. So we assume that it's, I guess we can't assume, because I guess we can't assume that it has splash and it's a cannon, that evade is useless and it's dumbfire. Can we assume that?
What I'm seeing with this and how it worked is it would shoot at you, and you would either hit and do damage, and probably hit and do splash damage to everything around there, or would miss if you had enough evade, hit right next to you, and still do splash damage to you from where it hit in the water right next to you.
Okay,
so I don't think evade helps against this one, but I think driving as a tank would.
Okay. All right, let's move on to the next one.
And it was while we're on that last one, it tracked you, so you couldn't outrun the damage either.
Okay. Okay, so it had a slow enough projectile speed that you were thinking it was the potential to run under it like a mortar? Is that what you're saying?
Well, you can't do that, is what I'm saying now.
Okay. Okay. All right, so what's your I think we've sort of given the takeaway to everybody as far as what we're thinking as far as builds with a high evade flagship, and then concentrating damage on the back 4 ships until we see more.
Yep.
Okay. Alrighty. All right. Well, let's move on. These are the different scrap mountains. Due to the unstable nature of the fuel silos in these targets, players might experience some small decrease or increase or loss. Wait, what's... Okay, I guess the way that they've set up these targets is the number of points they say they're worth is based on whatever they consider an average is, as far as how much damage the target does to itself. So let's say if it does, you get 5 million. If you hit the fuel tanks in a certain way, you might get 5.1 million. If you hit them in a different way, you might get 4.9. Pirates will still receive around the number indicated for the target.
Around the number. Okay.
Yeah, well, you know.
Yeah.
I'm reading it as, the points indicated in the raid is going to be basically an average or a projection, but it could be higher or lower. Be careful of the launchers. The shockwaves are very damaging. Don't overlook the tactical advantage of the mountains provide. Through careful planning, these mountains can shelter you from a number of high damage turrets. But remember, your cannons cannot fire through them. The fuse lighter's shot does damage over time to the silo, and a single fuse lighter salvo may not be sufficient to kill the building. You can escape if you drive effectively. Managing the turnaround time is key. Plan your hit and run carefully to minimize loss of speed, or experiment with different numbers of ships to buy yourself more time. The last one I find the most interesting. What's the purpose of... Okay. I'm a little bit lost with some things. So any thoughts on this?
I think that written explanation at the end there is one of the good parts about this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, but we don't have enough at this point in time. Nobody has enough experience with these targets with properly equipped ships to really give any good advice. And it would have been great if this week that we had, some time to deal with them with Gladiuses that were built, and we got a better understanding of how to build and whether combat speed is going to be a crucial factor in a good, effective build. Because there are some specials in there that add to critical chance, critical damage, and combat speed that might be considered, optional for some people. So
I did notice one other thing that I heard, actually didn't confirm myself, is that the harpoons had a minimum range. So if you could potentially get close to them quickly, that could be another benefit.
Okay. And that's the welded?
That's either the welded barrel system or, say, Hyper 30, which I'm choosing welded barrel system as that.
Yeah, that's the one that made sense to me. Okay, let's move on. I think we're moving on to Pillage now. Finally. Pillage. All right, let's move on. All right, we have a new target for the Zealot. It is the 110 from a raid about, I think, in May. It was it's a Zealot target. It was an auto target. Once you guys get in it, you'll be familiar with it. And then I have not hit the Everest target in this raid, but the number is the same from the last raid.
And the target's the same too, looks identical.
Okay.
And performs identically too.
Okay.
I think so. Yep.
Are you going to want to hit? Is anybody going to want to hit one of these or both of them?
I can do however many are needed.
Okay. All right. Well, let's. If you want to get queued up, and we'll quickly run through the next couple of slides while you're. You're already ready. Lady K, you want to go to the next slide? See what. All right. Well, if you're ready, we'll hit the target. The Mons Gladius is. So, but if you're ready, Derpy, which one are you planning to hit?
That was the 141 first.
Okay. And this is the new target for the Zealot. Normally, it was the first auto one. In the first raid, it was the auto target.
And during that raid, we could do it driving well with even people who didn't have an X1 fleet for really, really low damage, if not instant repair.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm going to try this one on auto just to see how that does.
Would you want to try it driving the first time? That way you have less repair to calculate?
I don't think I'll be able to drive it for instant repair. I've hit 2 or 3 of them already.
I drove it for like close to 40 minutes repair.
Yeah, that's about what I'm getting there.
If you, what crew is best on this target?
I'd say Sea Serpents. Steelhead isn't that good because you don't have corrosive damage resistance, or corrosive survival, rather.
Okay.
Something like Molotov Maidens or Creeping Death could also be helpful for more of the damage.
Well, I kind of miss your play-by-play.
I haven't done that in a while, have I?
You haven't.
Yeah, well, the thing about this target is it's a fairly quick one to complete, driving or auto. It's under a minute in, and I'm just about halfway filled the thing, so it's not that bad.
I'm going to try it on auto in a bit.
And I do have a mostly X1 fleet, and even though I'm not necessarily using the drones right here, if you have a U0 fleet, you'll probably take 2 or 3 times the damage. It's actually probably going to do better on auto than I do driving. I know one of the raid targets that was the case, and I was hoping that would be the one here. And I was hoping we could do it with an X1 fleet for instant repair back in base, but that was too much of a hope, rather.
Oh, you drove it very well.
Yeah, I'm pretty good at autoing these things, apparently.
Aloysius, yes, we're getting the Everest flag in the raid. Thank you, Lego.
Well, 43 minutes damage. So.
Might as well auto it.
Yeah, I was getting 35 driving, so it's not a big difference whatsoever.
Jeez.
And there we go, then 3 sets. And that was with no crew. If you pop one on, and if I actually did a free shipyard to upgrade my last one to X1. I do a little bit better. I guess I should probably share the build too, even though most people probably running something similar or already have their build for now. Although we probably have a bunch of extra Zealot build tokens laying around. The only really special thing here is the last ship has a countermeasure letters for.
I wouldn't go change my build at this point. I mean,
Yeah.
there's no time. I might have tokens, but
Then there's the Everest one. I'm not going to auto that one because I don't have armor still. The Pillage one, not the Forsaken mission. I still don't have armor. I'm waiting, saving my tokens until we do have a new armor released. But it's a fairly decent target if you want to spend the time driving it.
The 141?
We pivoted to the 135 now.
Okay.
It was 43 minutes repair time, auto with my fleet upgrade level and build. So
I'm gonna try.
not bad by any means, but
I'm gonna try it.
not instant.
I'm gonna try an auto and see if I come anywhere close to that.
Here's the 135. I'm gonna hit it with the method that Hefe was walking us through last time. Maybe with a variation or two.
Yeah, because it's a reasonable target if you want to drive it.
And you can auto it okay. It's not good, especially with no armor, but it's okay. And that's a small long pinch.
Yeah, and he's minimizing the exposure to the ice field here in order to get in range as quickly as possible. So it should not fire at all at him. As far as the brimstone rocket, there we go, didn't fire. If you
I even got most of this bottom thing right here too. You can risk it and go for that if you want.
Okay. And you can come up and just snipe out that, and it's going to take out the vulture to the right. And you're going in high to avoid remote targeting.
That's the idea. You get pretty close to it. So I sometimes like to wait till I see that thing fire. Sometimes not, because this thing can remote target on you, and if you don't have the mountain to block it, you take damage. So it's tricky here.
This is not one of my favorite targets at all. What do you like about it, Lego? I think it's repetitive once you get it down, but I like the targets where I feel like I can keep on hitting it, understand what's going on, and see my damage go down and down and down until I reach a point where it's, I can't get my damage down anymore. That's why I also like, okay, it's the time it takes to do them. Yeah, it's, it does take some time and some patience, but I do like the whole idea of hitting some of these targets and be able to show a lot of improvement as I learn the target and figure it out. Because I got the 160 in the FM down to instant repair on the map, with no crew, but just using one small long pinch. And it takes a little bit of like, okay, do this here, do that there, and and some of it's luck. Sometimes I'll take 8 minutes, 10 minutes on that target, but I did like the fact that I was able to get it down to the 160 down to instant repair on the map.
Okay, I just did the 141 for 38 minutes, and I used a Molotov maker.
Did you drive it or auto?
No, that was auto.
I autoed it for 40 with nothing, no crew. 40 in 15 seconds.
Cool. I'll auto it.
I'm going to auto from now on. Screw it.
Need another
It's
check.
worth it to drive it. So drive this
Which,
one.
Maybe it's a good thing just to be able to auto something and not feel bad about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not too long. I mean, if you're going to take 43 minutes driving and 40 minutes autoing, even I can figure that one out.
Yeah, well, if I end up hitting enough of them and decide I want a whole bunch of points, yeah.
I mean, if I have time to sit, yeah, I'll drive.
This is 14 minutes repair, and using this build on all 4. So, and one small rocket. So it is if you have the skill and time, patience enough to learn it or whatever, it's very possible to do this thing for low repair, even with a build that's not quite optimized for the current behavior and current specials and tech that we have.
Now this one,
have to put in the time.
This one I only got to wait a minute or two in the dock without using a pinch, without using a crew. So I could stack up a whole bunch of zealot targets before I go to bed at night, and let the fleet repair, and then do close to instant repair on the other one during the day. I don't know. It's the way I do it when the conditions allow.
The big boobies hit you again?
Yeah. What?
No, this was someone else.
Okay.
Someone in Master Blaster.
I'm sure that both I and you prefer when big boobies is the one hitting your base.
Yeah, something related to that. Sprinkle Blues was good too,
Yeah. Okay. So, so did you hit the? Have you driven the 141 yet, or you just autoed it?
I've driven it, and you just got to keep moving toward outrange the short turrets and focus the purple things. That's about all the tips that there sort of are.
$11 minutes 48 seconds with SS crew in the 141. Okay.
That's
Yeah,
nice. Good time.
Yeah. That's why I was wondering if you've, if
I haven't got that low driving yet. So
okay. Yeah, I hate the zealot. I've talked to you about that earlier today. I hate the zealot because it takes my mind a while to realize what circle I'm using to aim my weapons with, because I have auras and countermeasures and all these other things that are out there, and I'm like, it does not come instinctually like the closest circle to my ship is the one I'm aiming with. It's taken me some time to get back to it. Okay. Neil's going to put up a video on the page later with doing 11 minutes 48 with the SS crew on the 141. All right, we're going to talk about the Marines Gladius. 8 days, 1 hour. Honestly, what I'm waiting for is the X1 on this, and I think that's probably going to make it why you want to spend an extra couple days building it. The big things that I like about it are the fact that it gives, instead of 4,000 survival on the aura, it gives you 10,000.
That's
Yeah.
not really a.
Yeah. I'm saying, the big thing I think is going to be the X1. This is what I like about it most. It's sort of like saying, oh, well, never mind. I'm not even going to get into that analogy. But, I'm not in love with it because I do not like the auto shield aura. Basically, if you take 10% of the your total health, which is going to work out to be 9 minutes during the raid, 18 minutes in a TLC, this will go off randomly and give you an additional 60,000 ballistic and radioactive survival, which is going to be quite the increase, but it's going to happen when it happens. It's not going to happen when you want it to happen. It's only going to last for 7 seconds, and you might be out in the middle of the water when it happens.
And it doesn't give you an extra damage, combat speed, anything else that we've seen on previous overload holes. So it's kind of weak sauce.
Yeah, but besides those two differences, there's really not that much difference between this and the flag. I mean, in the normal ship, which is on the right-hand side. But I'm not going to not recommend building it because we have no idea what the X1 is going to be. And I think the X1 they've made very important on some of these things. I think that'll be the game changer associated with this flagship. But we don't know what it is.
And we have no tokens and to help us build it, do we? Unless we saved our chests, and even then, it's going to be pushing it to get much built.
Well, I saved last week's chests, and then the ones I get from this week will give me 13 days, or I guess 12 if I didn't get lucky. And the total build and equip time for this, using my lab discounts, is about 13 or 14 days. So it's if you saved your tokens and you played it smart, you'll do okay.
Yeah.
And you still have a week of actual physical time to build it.
Right. But that's hoping we were close to being done on our other ships.
But I would hope you are, after you can put so many weeks of FM tokens into it and the 5 or 8 that you got in the TLC. So
right.
I'm on track to have mine fully built and all about upgraded to U2 on average.
I'm on track. I'll be okay. I'm just worried about other players not being on track.
Yeah, if you didn't save your FM tokens and you didn't do the TLC that we just had, you are going to be very sad. And Kixeye's pace makes it so difficult to keep up if you don't do every single thing possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
plan your vacations accordingly.
Yeah, but like I said, I don't see anything in the short term with the information available that makes this a must-have, or even the extra days of build time. But I think you'll suffer in the long term, because I think there will be something in the X1 upgrade that will make this worth it in some way. I have no idea what that is.
Maybe you get more combat speed with the overload.
I hope it's not overload, really, because I hate that. You got to take damage. It's not even instant repair damage, and it happens randomly. Because I've always hated these on PvE ships. Like, okay, well, you got to take, all of a sudden, boom, things change, but you never know when it's going to happen. I've never been a fan of this. Yeah, raid is next week. And, all right, what else do we, I think all we have left is prizes, right? Yeah, sure. So the things to get are the Mains Gladius, the VXP tokens. My guess is you only need 2 out of the 3 potential claims, but we'll see. I don't know. And And really, if you don't know how many Gladius upgrade kits you have at this point, you can go to HTML5 and they will display them, even if you have a build ongoing. The mains Gladius upgrade kits, might as well get them all because they don't release them in the TLCs. The next time they'll be available is during the raid. And then go Capulus Cannon. If you want the Capulus Cannon, it's the most expensive thing if you need to claim all of them. This will allow you to go from 30 to 40 and fully equip your Gladius fleet with the limited weapon. The thing that's missing off of the list that was provided is the Piranha is available for 60,000. I think there's 2 claims available.
Well, it's good the Piranha's there. I'm kind of sad shards aren't there for the new Defender flag. But
Yeah, that's weird that they released it in shards and then they, I think
Didn't have even like 2 shards available in the next event.
I mean, that would have been fine, something, because I'm sure there were people that didn't get them all or that didn't get any and would like to get started slowly.
Yeah, Kickside doesn't want to offer the whole only a week later. Like they don't want to. They don't want to do that. They don't want to offer the new thing a week later in a different event. But if they were to offer a few shards,
Right.
not 14, maybe not even 7, just 2, 3, 4, that would have been a good thing here.
Yeah,
And
shards at a time, it would have been fine.
Yeah, especially because it's a defender hall, and after the last time that Derpy and I just discussed defender hall availability in PvE. I think KB and several other people will not let their children watch the show anymore. So I'm we don't want to get into that too much, but the Piranha is available, but because I honestly think that defenders should be only they should be released PvE immediately, not PvP, because a lot of players only do PvE. And they are forced to do PvP only in their own bases. So therefore, the defenders should be available to them. I completely understand the Conquerors are, only going to be available elsewhere. But yeah, I think the Conquerors, but the defenders should be available right away to in a non-PvP environment.
That's a good question for Peter. Somebody asked him why defenders aren't available sooner for everybody, or in other areas rather than just bounty.
Yeah.
Even the raid stuff is available in a TLC. Look at the Gladius stuff.
Yeah. So I think this is let me double check. I think this is the last, I think this is our last slide. So, This is our last slide. So, do we have anything else we want to discuss?
Kickside, why is Punch Drive system not in the prize store? People who are now just getting the Piranha might want to build it with this Punch Drive system on there. People have been asking for it for the last month, the last 5 weeks since we got it. You've had 2 bounties, counting the one it came out in, 2 pillages, 2 raids, and Punch Drive system has not been offered yet.
Well, there's a greater question. Do you want to go to your back to your screen?
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay. Okay, if you want to go to the Pillage store, go to bonus, prizes, bonus.
Now the menu here while we're on is still horrible, and I can't scroll down without.
Oh, just the bonus on the left-hand side.
Look, your game is broken.
I know, but oh, well, wow, you're an H215. I think this. All right. I guess this.
Uh,
Okay.
We might be back. See, this is the prize redemption menu is horrible.
Well, this appears to be worse than mine. Bonus.
It hadn't done that before, but
Yeah. All right. Well.
okay.
Okay.
There we go. We saw it. We saw it.
What the fuck? Okay.
So Aquila Rocket, 45,000 points.
Okay. Well, what's going on there? What's going on there, Derpy?
So the last, I don't know, they just kept this in here and didn't bother to check.
But I I widely criticize them on Discord for even having it at that price at that
This is
point.
almost as much as the new hull, as the new flagship.
Yeah,
Almost
yeah.
as much as a Piranha.
It needs to be like
Twice as much as the limited weapons. I'm like, well, you're just not paying attention.
needs to be a tier 2 prize in the FM.
It needs to be
Yeah.
like it needs.
It's offered.
They need to remove at least 1 0 out of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, do I have it on my? I don't have it on that hole. I have it some on this one, some on this one, some on this one, some on this one. But I haven't used my Praetorians since we got the Everest.
Yeah.
So do they just not update their prizes? I think they need.
You need to have automation. I've cried for automation as far as like once you introduce, X that
You're trying to steal their jobs with automation.
Tier down, we're going to reduce the cost significantly. Whatever, 50%, 75%, once it's no longer relevant. But they, all I'm saying is don't claim the claim the Ormaquila if you can. It just it just shows they're not paying attention in my mind. Are they any good? Now you need to have the right setup for them to not actually be worse than the normal ones, and they're slightly better at that point. I do not understand why the cost is so high. Because I do not like the cost is so high that people think they're valuable. That's one of the problems is people that don't really know well enough. They're thinking, oh, okay, $45K, it must be worth it. All these people that are wearing the Gucci face masks, that I see at the store. I'm like, okay, I'm sure the Gucci face mask is better than the normal one. The one that's
in a different neighborhood than I do.
yeah. So, Darby, you don't have a Gucci face mask, do you?
Oh God, no.
Okay. Never mind. So, all right. Do we have much else to discuss?
No.
It's 8:15. I'm a Heat fan, so they're up by 8, second series against the Milwaukee Bucks. So I may be jumping over there to watch the rest of the game. And well, yeah, Lucius is wearing Prada. So what do you think about that, Lady Cat?
I got mine from Walmart, or I made my own.
Yeah,
I can't imagine Gucci or Prada face masks. Although, if anybody wants to send me some, I'll take them.
What besides having it, their logos imprinted on them? I don't know.
Well, so, I just like to color coordinate with my work outfit. So
okay. All right, I think we're a week away from the Battle Pirates Crib face mask. In case everybody wants to wear them in the neighborhood,
we should so do that.
Yeah.
I could make we'll embroider the BPC logo on it, and $25 a piece.
Yeah, I think probably because of trademark issues, the derpy related ones, we can't have where's the beef or anything like that associated with it. So it's gonna be tricky as far as the ultimate marketing of that. But y'all watch out. So
I like it.
So there we go. Lego made his from an old Ozzy concert t-shirt from the 80s.
Don't make it from any other clothing items from the 80s.
I don't know. I sort of feel bad for Ozzy at this point, but yeah.
How likely goes where's the milk?
I can't tell you.
Yeah. They all assume you're a dairy cow, but we know you're a beef cow. So all right, everybody. We'll be back on Friday, and I don't even know what we're going to talk about at that point, because I think we did, pretty good with the targets. The targets are going to be should be fairly easy for everybody. If at least if you have X1 or willing to spend the time to build rockets and some crews, it really shouldn't be a problem for people that are already caught up in the game.
Well, there's always the Megaship DLC.
Yeah. We might do a whole show on that, because my love of the Megaship. So, yeah. Yeah. Lego. That is a good point that Alicia's bringing up. If you have a shirt with Ozzy biting the head off a bat, that would be epic as far as a man. Probably frighten the crap out of everybody at Walmart. So that's all out there, Lucius. And I would appreciate to see if Lego would be willing to send that picture out for everybody. So all right, until Friday, everybody, thanks for showing up, and I appreciate it, and we will back on Friday and see if we can provide anything new.
Good night, all.
Later, people.
Good night.
Right on.